We analyzed the data, every stat, every title, every clutch performance to answer one question. Who is the most underrated IPL superstar of all time? We started with 100 names and narrowed it down step by step until just one remained. And trust me, it's someone you will not expect. But before we dive in, we had to define what underrated really means. We didn't want to go with just gut feeling or fan bias, so we created five strict criteria to shape our search. First, the player had to have won at least two IPL titles. This ensures that they didn't just perform individually, but did so in teams that won and likely played a role in getting those trophies. Second, they had to have played more than 80 IPL matches, which rules out one season wonders or short bursts of brilliance. Longevity matters. We wanted someone who delivered consistently over several seasons. Third, we needed above average stats. This wasn't about being decent. We were looking for players who quietly performed at a high level but never got the headlines. Fourth, they had to be clutch performers. Players who rose to the occasion in big games like playoffs or finals. These pressure situations are where legends are made, and being underrated despite shining in those moments tells us something important. And finally, they couldn't already be a household name. If a player is already widely recognized as one of the greats, they're not underrated. They're rated just fine. So players with widespread fame, brand deals, and major awards were off the table. So we began with every player who has won two or more IPL trophies. That alone gave us around 100 names. Then we filtered out players who hadn't crossed the 80 match mark. This eliminated a large chunk of short term contributors and brought our list down to around 40. Next, we applied our consistency filters. For batters, they needed either a 30 plus batting average or strike rate above 40. And for bowlers, we looked for a bowling average under 30 or an economy rate under 8. These aren't all time great numbers, but they're comfortably above league average. And after this stage, about 25 players remain. Now it's time for the pressure test, clutch moment. We examined player performances in especially finals, applying similar statistical standards. Those who didn't deliver in big games were out, and that left us with about 17 players. But then came the biggest filter, fame. We ruled out players like Raina, Pollard, Bumrah, Malinga, Russell, Hardik Pandya, and Bhuvnesh Kumar. They've all been called underrated at some point, but in reality, they've got the trophies, awards, media coverage, and brand recognition. They're celebrated in every GOAT conversation, and that's not what we're looking for. So from there, we narrowed it down to 10 players and eventually cut it down further. While we were left with three names who embody consistency, clutch, and underappreciated excellence: Yusuf Pathan, Shane Watson, and Krunal Pandya. Interestingly, all three are all-rounders. All three have played key roles in IPL finals and performed for multiple franchises. Yet, none of them are widely regarded as IPL greats, despite having a strong case. Let's start with Yusuf Pathan. Across 10 IPL seasons, Yusuf carved out a reputation as a destructive middle-order batter and a handy off-spinner, but he was rarely seen as a franchise centerpiece. He won three IPL titles, one with Rajasthan Royals and two with Kolkata Knight Riders. What many forget is that he was player of the match in the inaugural IPL final in 2008, scoring 56 off 39 balls and taking three wickets. That's impact on the biggest stage right from the start. Over his career, Yusuf maintained a batting strike rate of 142 while averaging just under 30. With the ball, he maintained an economy rate under 8, often breaking partnerships and providing crucial overs in the middle phase. Then there's Shane Watson. Most fans will remember his century in the 2018 IPL final for CSK, an all-time great knock under pressure. But many don't realize that Watson is one of only a handful of players to win the two IPL MVP awards, one with Rajasthan in 2008 and another in 2013. Watson scored over 3,800 runs and took 90 plus wickets in his IPL career. His strike rate with the bat hovered around 137, and he often opened both the batting and the bowling. Yet when discussions of IPL legends come up, his name is often skipped. And lastly, we have Krunal Pandya, perhaps the most overlooked big game player in the league. Unlike Yusuf Pathan or Shane Watson, Krunal doesn't have monstrous stats over entire seasons, but where he stands out is his clutch ability, something we often associate with superstars but rarely mention his name. He's the only player in IPL history to win Player of the Match in two different IPL finals, once in 2017 with Mumbai Indians and one this year with RCB. These weren't flukes. He bowled tight overs, took key wickets, and scored important runs under pressure. Krunal's bowling average may not jump off the screen, but his economy was consistently under 8. And while his batting average hovered around the mid-20s, he often came in when MI were in trouble and rescued the innings. And so after all the analysis, comparisons, and debate, we believe the most underrated IPL player of all time is Yusuf Pathan. Shane Watson had the MVP titles. Krunal Pandya had clutch finals. But Yusuf Pathan delivered consistently for over a decade, across league stages and knockouts. While others had standout seasons or moments, Yusuf Pathan was a season-long contributor, year after year, often winning games in the background. He was the X factor that didn't shout, just perform. And yet barely anyone talks about him, which is what makes him the ultimate underrated IPO star. Those were our thoughts on who deserves the title. Comment down below on who else you think is a strong candidate and who else might deserve this award. If you like this video, don't forget to press the like button, subscribe to the channel for more sports content, and we'll see you in the next one.